because you do not know who you're talking to. You don't hear the tone of their voice.
Exactly.
You don't hear anything about what they're doing. They could be just a totally different. And we see it. It's on. They have To Catch a Predator.
Oh yeah.
To Catch a Predator.
Yeah.
That's a great example. That you could have some pictures of you're a different person on your Facebook page and just keep on going. And it could
absolutely.
It's amazing that people will. It's amazing to me that people will still try to meet people through social network that they don't know, that have no relationship with before. Now it's different when you're, when you have you've met, you've had one situation where you've met, talked and everything, and you found each other online, and that's different. Okay, yeah, I had a good conversation with them. Then yeah, okay, let's have another one. But if it's a person that just found you on Facebook or found you on Twitter and just started hitting you up, and y'all just and you thinking the messages are so great because y'all been messaging for hours at a time. You check your messages and he messaged me back. Let me message her back, or I think that you just have to be more cautious, and you just have to say, I don't know this person.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the thing is that time online does not equal time in reality.
Yes.
And so many people, especially teenagers, oh my God, bless them. Love me some teenagers. I think teens are great. But wow, I mean, their frontal cortexes are just not developed enough to make conscious and good choices a lot of the time, and and they're just going to put themselves out there like, oh well, I'm going to meet someone. I had a situation just like that, where we had a teen we were working with who was going online. She meets someone online. He came from North Carolina to Alabama to her school to pick her up, and I'm like, you are 14 years old. The guy told her he's 16, actually 27. Dangerous stuff, and you have to be paying so close attention to this.
But I think teens don't know really what they're
getting into.
Exactly.
No.
They don't, because I think when you're in college, you have a better feel because you're out there on your own, and you have a chance to actually hear what other people have experienced, and you have a chance to hear what people older than you, because in college there's not a set age limit. You have people that are 30 and 40 that may be in your classes.
Absolutely.
And you could hear different situations, and I feel that a lot of teens think that they're grown and think that they have the ability to make those mature decisions when in reality they have no idea what's going on in the world.
Well, and you have all these dating sites, and the thing, oh my gosh, I mean, I saw one for eHarmony, and all these different ones. I saw one for farmers the other day. No joke.
They have one for healthier women.
Oh, I love it.
What does that mean?
W's.
Healthier
I
women.
saw it on,
Wow.
was it on the side of Facebook one day? It's for bigger women.
Robust women.
Yes.
No, we have these, and then you have to wonder, are you screening? Like, are you running, when people sign up?
No.
And are they given their
Okay.
they're not
Clearly
given,
not.
Exactly, not all of them are given their real names, and not to say that everybody on these dating sites are terrible, because they're not. We have a huge amount of good people in the world, but we have a lot of crummy ones too. And you just have to really be thoughtful in your, before you say, oh yeah, I'm going to go out and meet this person. Well, let's think about safety first. And, you just don't know. And it's better to be safe and cautious than dead. And, it's so much better to that.
That is a possibility. So,
Do you think that people who meet people online, and let's say they do invite them over and say, come over to my place, do you think that this implies let's have sex?
That's a good question.
That is a great question.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Well, I don't know. That's a good question.
I think that goes back to consent and having conversations, because consent is hot and assault is not. So, thank you. Thank you. So, because and you have, consent. Just having that conversation about sex can be sexy, and we really need to be, it's 2012, and it's time for our society to become grown-ups, I think, and mature enough to have. If you're going to be mature enough to have sex, then you need to be mature enough to talk about sex. and we need to be talking about healthy relationships and where that comes in. And if you're hooking up with someone, then you need to be really sure about what's going on, and both people have to be really, really sure about what's going on. Do you like this? Is this okay? Yes. All right. Do you like this? No. So let's pull that one back, and be really paying attention, to what your partner's interested in.
And honestly, that's a dangerous move.
It really is.
That is I was like, that question should not even, I was like, wow, that's a real question. To go from talking online to inviting that person to your house, to where you may live in a house, your neighbors may be a mile away.
Yeah.
And that is amazing. I think that is the worst decision anybody could make in that situation. Going from talking, messaging online, like we said, you don't hear the tone of voice, you don't hear anything about that person's body language. You don't even know if that's the real person that you're talking to.
Exactly. But but again, it goes back to the concept too, is that poor choice, but shouldn't equal rape. And that's we have to be really careful about making sure that people understand that too. Is that people make poor, stupid, terrible choices all day long. I mean, they do, but the consequence for that should never be rape, ever.
I understand the consequence. The consequence should never be rape. But there are precedents that have happened before that say that it's happened. It's happened before. So if you know that a woman invites a man to her house and got raped, and you are talking to this guy online and invite him to your house, knowing that situation's happened before, I feel like you set yourself up. And not to say that she's to blame. I mean, you might have a great conversation. You're living in the moment, and you can't help but live in the moment when you're talking to somebody. You feel good that they're talking to you, and you're having a good conversation. You want them to come over and have a personal face-to-face interaction, but have it in a public place. Because to go from you're only limited to your computer, that's the only way you interact with me, to you're invited through my front door and into my personal space where I feel safe, that's a huge step. And I think that I think people have to understand that the world today, there are predators out there, and you have to be aware of that.
We definitely have to look at the world with our eyes open.
Yes.
Look at it and be cautious.
Yes.
I think that's hugely important, and to be cautious and to be wise and make the best kind of choices that you can. You're right. If you're going to meet somebody for the first time, should be public place. Absolutely. Totally. It should be with more than one person.
Yes.
They're at the table with you. That's huge. I mean, if you're just bound and determined to meet somebody, then people are going to meet them. But again, it goes back to the consequence shouldn't be rape if they do decide to make that choice that's not safe.
Let me ask you something, Ms. Fleming-Smith. Let's just say if they're talking racy or sexual to this person online, and they say, oh, well, when you come over here, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and everything else. Do you think that, let's just say if the person comes over there and the individual changes their mind, the person who said we're going to do this and we're going to do that, they come over there and the individual decides, well, I changed my mind, I don't think I want to do that anymore. And then the person decides to say, well, you said that we could. Where does the consent in that area lie?
That's a good question. I think consent is as soon as somebody takes their consent away, regardless of where they are in that situation. I mean, that's it. If all of a sudden, like, no, and you can be right smack in the moment of something, and flirting is awesome. Oh my God, flirting is so great. And making out is great. All this. I mean, let's be honest, it is. It can be. So the thing is that the problem is, at any point though, if consent said, somebody's like, no, wait, hold on a minute, and it happens anyway, then that's when the crimes happen. And it doesn't matter at what point somebody's takes that consent away. When somebody's ready to be done, it needs to be done. And if it's not, then a crime's happened. And that's got to be the bottom line. And that's where we have to be thinking about consent issues all the time. And the thing is too is that people have the right to change their mind anytime they want.
They do. That they do. Also, prevention, sexual assault prevention measures. I know a lot of people out there say, well, if the person who was assaulted did not do this, or if this person didn't do that. I know a lot of sexual assault awareness and advocates say that they need to stop focusing so much of the attention on the victim and start putting at least half of the attention, if they're willing to, on the aggressor. Why is that important? Why is it important to focus the attention on the aggressor instead of the victim?
Well, we have a huge issue with victim blaming in our culture too, where it's so often, just like you said, well, what were you wearing, or you should have known better, or what was going on with you. I know one woman who was carjacked, stopped at a stop sign. She's so incredible. She stops at a stop sign, is carjacked, she's raped, and when she's let go and gets to the hospital, the first question she's asked is, what did you do to provoke him? That was the first question she's asked. What did you do to provoke him? And she's more of a lady than I am, because I would have cussed somebody out. But she said, I stopped at a stop sign. That's all I did. I stopped at a stop sign. And that is so powerful to me when it comes down to some of this. And it's absolutely outrageous.
And I was watching CNN the other day, and I believe this was taking place in Indonesia, where the government, the Indonesian government, is trying to make miniskirts illegal. According to the Indonesian government, they say that miniskirts, quote, have a pornographic image. And their reasoning for banning these miniskirts there in Indonesia is that it gives men the desires, the want to sexually assault women. Why do you think that law has some potential value to it? Do you think that it's ludicrous? What are your feelings on that?
I would say those are some pretty powerful skirts. I think that goes back to victim blaming, where you have, if they just didn't dress so sluttily, or if they just weren't so provocative, then, that wouldn't have happened to them. Well, a person's clothing doesn't matter. They're still a person. A person could come into this room right now, completely naked and jump up on the desk and start dancing, which let's hope they don't, because that would be awkward for all of us. But the thing is that if they did that, that would not be an invitation to rape them. It's an invitation that says, she's maybe not making a great choice. So, when somebody's like, oh, well, it's the skirts, I would say, no, I think it's the culture of entitlement saying that men can rape women and get away with it, and then blaming a skirt. I think we've got to, like I said, it's 2012. We've got to be better than that. We just have to be. We have to be better than that.
How do you feel in regards to that? This law this bill, if you will, that Indonesia is trying to get passed, Shay, in regards to these mini skirts? Because you're a lady, I'm sure. At some point in time in your life, you've worn a skirt that maybe went a little bit above your kneecaps. How do you?
I had to think about that.
How do you feel about that?
I definitely agree with Trace. I think that it is ridiculous because I think there's a point of self-control. So are you telling me because of what I wear that this man can't control himself? I just don't agree with that. I think that, like we were talking about earlier, that sometimes the way women dress can be them expressing themselves. And I think that by what you wear should not say, okay, this doesn't mean come and take it.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't mean that at all.
I love when people say, oh, I just couldn't control myself. I was just so out of control. It's like, well, if your mama walked in the room, you could stop.
Exactly.
So, I just, that just drives me crazy. Like, oh, well, I was just so out of control. It's like, no. And it's so much of an insult, too. If somebody, you're going to let a skirt control your actions.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Very ridiculous.
Justin, I want to get your male perspective on this. How do you feel in regards to this law, this bill that Indonesia is trying to pass, where they outlaw mini skirts because they say men have the potential to sexually assault
See, I
women?
didn't want to touch this question right here.
Oh, but you must.
I'll say this. I mean, I think the main thing that I agree with both of you. I agree with both of them. They both had good points. I mean, it's a different culture out there though. But yeah, I mean, a mini skirt, having a man just go out of control is just, to me, it's ridiculous. But to them,